The Seattle Seahawks have made more roster moves after releasing Tyrel Dodson on Monday. We will discuss what exactly is going on with your Seattle Seahawks coming up in just a matter of moments. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. Before we go any further in today's show, though, a reminder that we are in a sub-battle this week with our 49ers channel hosted by Chase Sr. He said, Tyler, there is no way you guys can pick up 100 subs off today's video. And I said, Chase, we're already winning the sub battle. We are going to show why we have the best fans, not just in the NFC West, but the rest of the National Football League as well. We don't want to beat the Niners just on the football field, but we want to beat them off the football field as well. For daily Seahawks coverage, sometimes 2 and 3 videos a day, like today, for example. In addition to our live shows, our watch parties, breaking news, and more, it's all in one place right here on Seahawks Today. Subscribe now for free, and we'll get started with today's show. The Seahawks have been very active over the last 24 hours or so with some of the roster moves they made. Most notably, we told you yesterday about Tyrel Dodson getting released, but that wasn't all of what the Seahawks did. Let's go ahead and tell you about everything they've done, catch you up to speed in case you missed it. Tyrel Dodson was released, started 9 games for the Seahawks at the middle linebacker position. He was rumored to be getting benched in favor of Tyrese Knight. They ultimately came to terms to let him go to see if he can play elsewhere. Josh Jobe was promoted from the practice squad to the active roster. An expected move from the Seahawks, as Mike Macdonald has really liked what he's seen from Josh Jobe and has talked about potentially him taking Trey Brown's job as the other outside corner next to Riq Woolen. Kayvon Wallace was placed on injured reserve. He is out for at least the next 4 weeks, potentially longer. And then we told you yesterday very briefly, we didn't get into too much detail about him, about Brandon Pili, or File, whatever it is, claimed off of waivers from the Miami Dolphins at the nose tackle position, providing some depth. We're going to go into some more details on him and his scouting report coming up later on that signing. But then the other big news from the Seattle Seahawks as they signed to the practice squad Niquil Harry, the former first-round pick out of Arizona State at the tight end position, experience at the wide receiver spot as well. And let's begin with a Niquil Harry there. Signing Harry to the practice squad, folks, might be a bad sign of what's going on with Noah Fant and his groin injury, as initially it didn't appear to be that bad. But if the Seahawks are going to the length of bringing in Niquil Harry and adding him to the practice squad, that's not a good sign for where Noah Fant is at when it comes to his status with that injury that we'll continue to monitor there. And it's no secret. You look at this Seattle team right now, they are lacking receiving tight ends. And we've told you that for months on end, that they didn't really have much receiving threat options. A.J. Barner has been okay. Pharaoh Brown's not much of a receiving tight end. There was talk about in the offseason, hey, could Jack Westover potentially make the roster because he's the best receiving tight end outside of Noah Fant, and that ultimately didn't happen. But the reality is, folks, when it comes to Niquil Harry, and I'm not trying to overreact too much about a practice squad signing, but let's be real. Niquil Harry is awful. He is a bad football player. He was bad as a wide receiver. And then on top of that, asking him to play the tight end position, one problem, he can't block. He cannot block at all whatsoever. And so where I'm sitting here saying, I understand, yes, practice squad signing and all, but I wouldn't even waste a dime on him on the practice squad. Why are you spending money on Niquil Harry, even if it is a practice squad spot, when he can't catch the football and he can't block? He can't play tight end in this league. And when you go back to the Tyrel Dodson release from yesterday, which was certainly a head-scratcher, and now you see these moves, including adding Harry here, what is John Schneider thinking right now? It's mind-blowing. What is going on? What the hell is going on with the Seattle Seahawks with these decisions that John Schneider is making here at the 11th week of the 2024 season when this team is trying to make a playoff push at this point? John Schneider's not helping at all with these decisions he's making. More on Niquil Harry. We mentioned former first-round pick by the Patriots out of Arizona State. Just a total bust. Let's be real. Spent some time with the Bears and the Vikings. He's played in 49 career games played with 18 starts. And this is somebody that has not looked the part of an NFL player whatsoever. And his stat line for a guy that was a former first-round pick is pretty pathetic. Let's be real. All right? In 9 games played in 2023, did nothing. 2022, held to 7 catches. 2021, 12 catches. 2020 was 33 catches, 309 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Not great for Niquil Harry. And you look at this tight end room, there's just not a ton to work with Noah Fant hurt. And A.J. Barner has shown some flashes, but not a ton of consistency. Pharaoh Brown isn't going to do you much in the receiving game. Neither is Brady Russell. This isn't good, folks. In fact, this isn't good at all right now of this situation. How would you grade the Niquil Harry signing? I would go with a big fat F, personally speaking. Again, I'm not trying to overreact to a practice squad signing, but still, this is bad, folks. Grade the signing for me in the comment section and let us know. Let's tell you about today's sponsor. That is Tushy. I'm a big fan of Tushy, and more importantly, my Tushy is a big fan of Tushy as well. 'Tis the season for uncomfortable family dinners. Now's the time to upgrade your only escape hatch from that table by installing a soothing, refreshing bidet in your bathroom. Folks, this just might be the gift that I get my parents for the holiday season, as Dad will enjoy some extra time on the toilet reading the newspaper when he gets to enjoy that nice feeling of the bidet. Isn't that a visual you want to imagine, folks? Installation is simple, and it takes about 10 minutes to complete. Literally anyone can do it. People who have made the switch to Tushy use up to 80% less toilet paper. No more clogged toilets. Save your money and your ass at the same time. Give the gift of practical luxury that benefits everyone in your household. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use code CHAT at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com with promo code CHAT. And don't forget to give us a shout-out while you're there and let them know we sent you. Go to hellotushy.com for the best gift this holiday season. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. All right, so now let's move on and talk more about Brandon Pili, who, I'll be honest, has not done much either in his career. This signing is another head-scratcher for the Seattle Seahawks, and because he was a waiver claim, he immediately goes to the 53-man active roster. Undrafted in 2023 out of USC, signed by the Dolphins, played 8 games this season for the Fins, and has played in 12 career games so far in his 2 years in the National Football League. So not a ton of experience. When you break it down even further, it's a little eye-popping. Only 122 snaps, 4 tackles made, 2 solo tackles, 2 assisted tackles in his career. And I understand, believe me, the Seahawks need some depth when it comes to this defensive line. We all know this, but why waste a roster spot here with this? You could have done a whole lot better than go with a great unknown here to fill this position. I know Jonathan Hankins has not played that great. Everybody knows that. But my goodness, what are we doing? Do we think we found our savior here, that it was worth taking up a roster spot for this guy? I don't think so, Jim. You look at the Seahawks defensive line right now, and Leonard Williams, Byron Murphy, Jaron Reed kind of leading the way, but then some serious question marks beyond that. Robertson Harris has been all right since they signed him. Hankins, Jonathan Hankins, we mentioned, has been just awful. Mike Morris hasn't given you much either. The front three, I like a lot, actually, but beyond that, you got some real depth concerns. The scouting report, let's tell you more about him. He can occupy multiple blockers. He can shed and create tackle for loss opportunities. Quality athleticism. That's all the good stuff. Now let's get to the bad stuff. Let's be real here. Pass rushing needs improvement. He lacks elite closing speed, which is not ideal, folks. And let's be honest here. When you break this down further, when you see the scouting report, when you see the numbers that he's produced, this is a project player. I mean, let's be honest here. This is not somebody that's expected to come in and make a big impact by any stretch of the imagination. Folks, we ain't got time for project players. It's week 11 for crying out loud. All right? The Seahawks are trying to make the postseason. They're coming off of 2 straight losses, off of a bye week. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this right now? If you wanted to bring him in, the offseason, training camp, sure, I understand that. But now, I don't understand this. The final exam for the Seattle Seahawks is this week. This week is make or break for Seattle when it comes to their playoff hopes, if they are going to be a legit threat or not. It all comes down to this week in San Francisco. If they can beat the Niners, they're right back in it, and we're having a whole different discussion about this team. Why? Why right now? And what I wonder, folks, based on what I've seen, how this season has gone, and the very questionable decisions by Johnny in the last 24 hours, is John's job on the line? Because here we are. And when Russell Wilson left, that was supposed to be the start of the rebuild, right? And you had back-to-back 9-8 seasons. And then this year, this team looks significantly worse than those other 2 teams did. And then on top of that, too, the offensive line today, compared to what it was 2 years ago, doesn't look any better. In fact, actually looks much worse than it did 2 years ago. What has John Schneider done to improve that offensive line? This team has taken steps back. And John is the number one to blame right now. Number one person to blame when we're supposed to be 3 years into a rebuild, and where's the progress being shown right now? Should John Schneider be on the hot seat right now? I think it's a fair question to ask at this point in time. Type Y for yes, in for no, weigh in, let us know what you think. For continuing Seahawks coverage, you know what to do. Subscribe now to Seahawks Today. I'm Tyler Jones. We'll see you next time.